Welcome to Whispering Loudly, the award-winning Workshop Whisperer podcast, as featured by Apple, with Rachael Evans, the #1 automotive business coach in the aftermarket, thanks to titanium sponsor Mechanic Desk and gold sponsor Podium.
Workshop Whispers is where you can get in touch with Rachael and ask her questions that will make your workshop hum. Today we are speaking to Evan in Adelaide. Hello, in South Australia. He says, is it really important to have great social media, Rachael?
Well, thanks for your question, Evan. This is something I am asked multiple times per week. I would say that it is really important to have a social media profile for your business. Is it important that it's great? Well, what does great mean? It's different. It's like beauty is in the eye of the beholder. I think workshop owners get confused by the amount of effort, or disillusioned by the amount of effort that you need to go to have social media that's impactful.
Yeah. So do some workshops think that they need to hire someone to do their social media just because everyone else is doing it? Is that a sort of thing that happens?
That is definitely one path that many workshop owners choose, because they don't know what they should be putting up.
It's not their expertise.
It's definitely not. It's not a strength. So they don't know how to produce content, and they see a social media company come along and say, yep, we'll look after that for you. We'll post for you X times per day. And then they get quoted some exorbitant amount of money.
Yeah, right.
I'm yet to discover a company across Australia and New Zealand that understands the market enough, so our auto aftermarket, that is actually able to produce a consistent return on investment.
Oh, wow, okay.
So you cannot do cookie cutter approach to social media across industries. We're talking different problems, different pain points that we want to reach in customers on social media, particularly Facebook. And that's not going to be the same as the hairdresser that they're advertising for.
No, or catering or a pub, whatever.
Or landscaping. It's different.
So do they seem to have the same approach for everyone? Have you noticed that?
They generally do.
Okay.
Yeah, so I generally advise against going agency for your ads. For your posts. Let's not even get to ads. So it actually can be quite simple, and this is the message that I preach.
Take a smoke out and review us on your Apple Podcast app or wherever you listen.
Yes, you need to be on social media. You need a presence. Think about it. 98% of your customers will have a mobile device, and they will have social media. Even your older customers will have a Facebook profile because they're keeping in touch with their kids and grandkids.
100%. If you think about it, Evan, in Adelaide, most people, if they're looking for a mechanic, will be just say they're at Henley Beach in Adelaide. They'll write mechanic Henley Beach into their Google. Yeah. So that probably means that SEO is more important than social media.
Well, yes, but if you're running a successful Facebook page, then your Facebook profile page will show up in that search.
Okay.
So this is why we need to be there in the first place, so that we get picked up in the SEO. But what's required from you is actually quite simple, and this is where we don't want to overcomplicate it. So I recommend, that you start just a really simple spreadsheet, call it 365 ideas, and as work comes through the shop on a daily basis, look at the work that's being done. How much of it, is repeat work, where you could take simple photos, put a simple bit of text, put a smiling face in the photo, and post it to Facebook. So the more expertise that's required, or more niche that your auto repair business is, you'll probably find the more interested your fan base is. So, I've got some clients that are into custom exhausts, and they have a huge fan base, because there's a certain type of Facebook user that's really interested in that stuff.
100%, yeah.
So if you just keep putting up photos of the work that you're doing, it draws that fan in. And
so if you've got a broader mechanic business, if you put up some of your interesting work, does that get more hits, and is that a good idea, or is it better to do the generalist things to reflect your business?
It definitely depends on your consistency. So the first thing we want to do is have the ideas for the content, so you don't run out. The second thing is that we want to get it there regularly. So if you only come back to Facebook once a month, Facebook is going to not reward your next post. So Facebook wants to see consistency, it wants to see engagement with your fans, and it wants to see the fans engaging with each other on your page, not just you stimulating everything. Okay. So the types of things, that we want is, as I said, the work that you're doing. So make that photos and a little bit of text in the post as well. Let's have a look at some videos that you can shoot, 60 seconds long of this is why it's really important that you have your car serviced regularly, because this is an oil filter we pulled out of a car that hadn't been serviced for 2 years, and this is what a new one looks like. So we want those kind of comparisons to jog the memory of our engaged fans as to why it's important that we have our car serviced. So simple things like that. Also, your customers will choose you in the independent space over a dealership because they want to have that personal
That's what I was thinking. So
you.
I was going to ask, are personal posts a good idea in terms of we've had a son?
Yes, of
Oh,
course.
okay,
it's
cool.
Like a family.
Yeah.
So, and they want to be involved in the family. So do posts where you introduce who is working there for you. What's their experience in the industry? What are their interests? And let them know who you are. Definitely don't keep that information private. It's, your customers want to be able to build rapport with you, and this is just another great way to do that. So, if all you can manage, if you're just starting out, is to, have 3 posts a week, just make that consistent. But, it doesn't have to be perfectly presented. Okay. It just has to be there. So don't get so bogged down in, colour schemes and creating wonderful things in Canva.
Yeah, a lot of people probably just don't do it because they think that they can't make their brand fancy enough online, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And that stops the whole process before we even get started. So you have to remember that we want progress over perfection.
Near enough is good enough. Yeah, that one.
Yes.
Not in terms of doing up a car, of course.
Yeah.
Then it might break down in the middle of an
Even think about
intersection.
getting customer testimonials on video. I mean, what better way to get new people to you than to hear from your happy customers why they like you? That will bring word of mouth, which is our best form of advertising.
Awesome.
Want more tips to help your auto repair shop grow? Join our Facebook group Under the Hood with the Workshop Whisperer.
Xavier in Fremantle, WA says, I've had a tax office debt for the last 7 years and it never seems to disappear. What am I doing wrong?
This is actually a situation that I come across more than I'd like to. But thank you, Xavier, for writing in and, sort of owning up in a way. It surprises me often how resistant to being out of debt some people actually are. They get used to, they get a level of tolerance for the amount of debt that they carry, and their normal life just revolves around making these debt repayments, and everything else that they try and do in the workshop has to factor this in, and it just becomes a normal part of life. It's crazy. The only way to close a debt hole is to have a particular finance strategy that I'm accredited in, implemented into the business in order for us to create what we call a debt domino or a debt snowball. And it feels uncomfortable for a couple of months when we first implement it. However, I've seen more auto repair shop owners get out of trouble using this method than anything else that I've seen before. So it's when you're in a debt situation, particularly to the ATO, because they can get really quite nasty if you default on your payment plan, you need to ensure that you actually have a spending freeze put in place on yourself immediately. So stop buying things, stop paying for holidays that you don't have the money for, stop putting things on your credit card, and focus solely on reducing your debt. There's too many shop owners who are tired, stressed out, not taking care of business, so to speak, that try and make themselves feel better with short-term gratification. What we need here is delayed gratification. So you end up in debt because you've committed some business sins in the past. We need to pay for those business sins if your business is to last, into the future, even for 5 years. You need discipline, but you also need somebody to help. So get your payment arrangement in place with the ATO, but make a commitment to yourself that this will be the last year that you don't have your tax money set aside to pay when it's due. That's the key. And whenever you fall into debt, it's your business screaming at you that it cannot afford for you to run it the way you are running it. So you need to stop. ask for help and move forward from there with a debt domino or a debt snowball.
And then you'll have a healthy, debt-free business. And you can have a Visa debit card like I have, where you can't even use credit.
That's right. For some people, that is the best option. Remove the option of credit.
Either that or put your credit card in the freezer. I've heard that one too.
Yes.
If you'd like to get in touch with Rachael for our next workshop Whispers, how can people do that?
So just pop your question or your pressing concern about your auto repair shop in an email to us at admin@workshopwhisperer.com, just with the subject Whispers, and then we'll know that you want us to discuss this on the podcast.
And the Under the Hood Facebook page, right? The group?
The group, definitely. We're having discussions around topics like we've spoken about today in my free Facebook group, Under the Hood. So just jump on Facebook, search Under the Hood with the Workshop Whisperer, and request to join the group, and we'll see you there soon.
Nice.
Thanks for tuning in to Tune Up Your Auto Repair Shop. Thanks to Titanium sponsor Mechanic Desk and gold sponsor Podium.